Hi, this is Gary with Aldan. Today we're out here with Spencer. Spencer's my son. He's worked for Aldan on and off over the last couple of years, working around his school schedule and so on. But this is his 86 El Camino. And I know the people that are really into G-bodies are going to look at it and see that it's got a 79 front end on it. It does have a 79 front end on it. We just kind of put it together with pieces and parts over the years. I've actually owned this El Camino since about 1990. I bought it as a theft recovery way back, and it's been kind of put together, taken apart, and a few years ago Spencer and I decided that we'd put it together for his first hot rod. So we'll talk a little bit about it. Tell us about it.
Because this car is a theft recovery vehicle, there's not a lot of the correct pieces. The drivetrain's out of an 87 Monty SS, so it's already a little bit hot rodded out, and the brake systems came from a Chevrolet Blazer from the 2000s. The car itself has actually been kind of a passion project of mine for a long time. I've been collecting hot rod pieces. It was just natural to add the Aldan American Coilover and Spone control arms to really upgrade and modernize the car.
So Spencer just laid out all the components we're going to be installing. So come along, check it out, and we'll show you everything we're going to install on this 86 El Camino. I've purchased the steering linkage, which Aldan American doesn't sell, but it's definitely needed in this car because the car's got a few miles on it. So it's the idler arm, the center link, and inner and outer tie rod ends, and the adjusting sleeves. We've got the Spohn upper and lower control arms. What's really nice about the upper and lower control arms is they've improved the geometry so you can get a little bit more positive caster in the front suspension. It's a tubular arm, Delrin bushings, and the arms come with all of the hardware and ready to install. We've done the coilover kit from Aldan. So this is our double adjustable. I assembled the shocks with the black anodized shocks, which are available custom ordered. Because the car is black, I really wanted them to kind of blend in, look custom, and I think it's an awesome look, and I think it's well worth doing. We're going to install our Spone upper and lower trailing arms today. So what makes them really unique is not only are the uppers adjustable so you can adjust your pinion angle, but they've got spherical bearings both front and rear on all four positions. We also have the bearings that go into the stock axle housing. The arms are not designed for a stock sway bar. We're using the Spone rear sway bar. So what's really unique about this sway bar is it mounts to the axle housing with the clamps with the red bushings on them. And then we have the end links, and they're going to be mounted to the rear cross member. So what's really nice about it is it's a true anti-roll bar. So it's going to control the rear of the car a lot better than the stock style sway bar that goes to the lower trailing arms. So the front sway bar is hollow. So what's really nice about that is it's going to lower the weight of the car. So the last thing we're going to install is the Aldan American rear brace. So what this rear brace does is it ties both shock mounts at the frame together, adds an additional cross member, and stiffens the rear of the frame section. Because we're improving the handling on this car, we need to do everything to make it work better. First thing we're going to do is take the ball joints loose, the sway bar loose, and remove the front brake assembly. So the next thing we're going to do is take our brake caliper off. We're going to hang it off to the side, and we're going to remove our entire spindle assembly. This is our upper Spone arms. So as you can tell, there's a little bit of a gap here and a little bit of a gap here. So when you set these on the bench and you compare it to our original upper control arm, you can see that the ball joint is on a little bit of an angle this way and this way. So that tells us that this is the right arm, so we don't want to put the left arm on it, so we'll move that out of the way. Now, a couple of things on this Spone arm. It has an offset cross shaft. So if you'll notice, it'll say wheel side on one side, and then it doesn't say anything on the other side. So when we set this up, I always turn this so that wheel side is inboard, because if we set it up wheel side out, we can't get the front end to align because it has too much negative camber. Something else we're going to try on this El Camino I've never used before, but is the tall ball joint. So this ball joint is taller than the original ball joint, and so what that does is it changes the camber curve in the front and also the roll center. So it'll raise the roll center for better handling. A lot of A-arms out there have been using the taller ball joint, so we wanted to try this ball joint with the Spone arm. Let's see how it works.
One of the most common questions that we see here at Aldan American is how much extra weight is my tubular control arm really adding? The original arms from the factory were stamped steel, and so it's a little bit of a different material than something like a tube made from a tubular control arm.
It weighs 8.5 pounds.
We're going to go ahead and reset our scale.
So it now weighs 7 pounds. So the tubular A-arm is 1 pound lighter than the stamped steel arm. So we're going to install our new Spone upper control arm. We also have the new bolts, but one of the things I like to do when we're setting stuff up and working with it is to use non-locking hardware just to speed things up, and then once we're happy with everything, then we'll put the lock nuts in place.
We know this is the correct lower arm as the sway bar end link is facing towards the front of the arm. We know that the lower control arm is correct because the upper control arm and the lower control arm ball joints line up. Like Gary mentioned, this is a custom ordered kit, so not all Aldan American kits come with the thrust bearings. We're going to use them to reduce friction on this 450-pound spring in the front of our El Camino.
So now we've tightened our lower bolts down to 35 foot-pounds. We're ready to put the spindle back on it. So now that we've done this installation, the big sway bar, the new steering linkage, the control arms, the coilover kit, what do you think of all this?
You know, it's been a long time coming. I've had a lot of this stuff stashed here for a long time, being here on and off. I can't wait to drive it.
Now that we know Spencer's excited, we're going to move to the back to see how much cool stuff we can install on the rear of the car now. So now we're at the rear of the car. So we've already put the coilovers on this car once prior. So it does have a black anodized shock, which was really cool, which is kind of why we're going to do it again. But we're going to put the double adjustables on. We're going to also put our Spone lower trailing arms, upper trailing arms, and the rear sway bar. So now that we've installed the front side of our trailing arm, you can see how much misalignment and articulation this can take. Because it's a triangulated 4-link rear suspension, it will still keep the rear axle located, but now we don't have any binding whatsoever. The axle is going to travel up and down, move exactly how we want it to do, with very little resistance, and everything will be nice and smooth. I've got our upper spherical bearing installed in the axle housing. I have our adjustable upper trailing arm installed, the lower trailing arm installed, and I've kind of set the sway bar up with the brackets to the axle housing. But what I still have to do is a little bit of measuring, calculating, make sure I've got everything in the correct location so I can drill my holes for the upper bracket, for the drop links, for the sway bar end links. So this is the double adjustable shock. So there's a compression knob on the bottom and a rebound knob on the top. So there's 6 positions, but this is a barrel valve. So this will keep rotating. And whatever number is at the 12 o'clock position is what number it's at, regardless of how many turns you've turned it one way or the other. There's only 6 settings. So this knob is also ground with a flat on the top. So the reason we did that is that's the number 1 position. So if you're underneath the car and you're trying to figure out where you're at, you can always find the flat and figure out where number 1 is. So we have a lot more to come on this car. We're still working on it. We still have to put it together. As you can tell, it still doesn't have all of its chrome and its bumpers and all that put on. But we're also going to do some four-wheel disc brakes. There probably is an upgrade on the front brakes coming up, but we're also going to finish it off and make it an awesome car. So stay tuned, keep an eye out. And for more information about Aldan American products, check us out at aldanamerican.com.